I mean, it starts obviously with Notre Dame. That's one of the biggest swing games.
Hello, friends. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by our friends at Specs, the four-time National Retailer of the Year here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, actually in Florida. It's not the real one, but Cade is at the Rollo Insurance Studio, in College Station. Cade, I'm flipping up the show a little bit. At least the question. I used to ask, what's your favorite part of the show? Today, I'm going to ask you something different. What did you learn on the show?
What did I learn? All right. Let's see. Well,
see, I got you.
I did learn that Jerry West, that breaking news, that was crazy breaking news during the John Harris segment, which was also a very good segment.
So in the 3 hours that I did radio, the one thing you remembered was the Jerry West passing away. By the way, thoughts and prayers to Jerry and his family, and not anything A&M related. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Well, I did learn that A&M has that 12 o'clock noon start time for the old Mizzou game, so that's something I learned about A&M related.
Was it 12 or 11?
Or it was 11, yes. 12 Eastern. 12
See,
Eastern.
So
there we
what
go.
You're saying is
Eastern,
you didn't learn anything because you're under fire there sitting in the chair for Nick Savage, which is fine. But can you tell us what we had on the show today?
I can absolutely do that. We had OB in the Go Hour. We had John Harris. He was great. We had Jason Howell doing some recruiting country. And then we had Billy Liucci in studio for a couple segments at the end there.
Great job, Kate. Appreciate that. Check out the rewinds coming up next. What do you think the quarterback market range is for a college football, pretty top-tier quarterback? What do you think the numbers are?
Some things I've heard, some are $1 million plus.
Some are $1 million plus. It says here for a starting Power 4 quarterback, you're looking at $500,000 to $800,000 a year. This is not talking about the Heisman-esque guys. This is talking about a starting Power 4 quarterback. Mississippi State, other programs. So that's the number. And by the way, that may sound low because of some of the numbers we've heard. $500,000 as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old starter at a small college school is ridiculous numbers, but that's what they're getting on the open market.
Well, several years ago, didn't Quinn Ewers get $1 million to go to Ohio State?
Yep.
And so he passed up his senior year in high school. And of course, we remember Nick Saban famously bragging how the little guy who's now the quarterback of the Panthers. Who's the first round pick?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young, how he got a $1 million deal within days after NIL was ratified, for lack of a better word. Of course, then he complained about other programs paying players, but that's the saving way. So salaries rarely go down. So if you're top tier, like elite, I would assume that you can demand $1 million or more.
Johnny, a couple of weeks ago, you gave us an update on Kenyon Green. How have things progressed with him, and could he play an integral role this year?
Yeah, there's no question he'll play an integral role. It's just a matter of, is he going to win that competition at left guard? And I think that's the one thing about being a first-round pick is you're going to get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, especially when the GM that drafted you is still at that particular location. There's going to be, not he's going to get first shot, but I think there's this, okay, well, we've got to see what we got. We drafted him number 15 overall. Let's roll with this. But what's ended up happening because of the injuries, and obviously the injuries led to some inconsistent play, and then missing all of last year, it's opened the door for other guys to show, hey, I could step into that role. Kendrick Green, we traded for, when Kenyon was dealing with some issues, we traded for him. I think we traded for him. I didn't give up a ton of that, I remember. But he comes in, there were low expectations. The Pittsburgh media was just killing him for everything. And he comes in and he steps in and played really, really well for 3 games that he started. And you thought, okay, now there's a competition. And then you've got guys that you claimed on waivers that were rookies, Nick Broker, from Ole Miss. I don't know that any of them are as talented when Kenyon Green is right as Kenyon. But it's just a matter of, can Kenyon be right, both physically and mentally? And, there were some scars from that rookie season when he faced every big time player, interior player, from Dexter Lawrence to, Chris Jones to, the two guys with Washington, Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. He faced all of them. He faced them like right in a row. And because of that, I think there were probably a little bit of confidence lost. And, he's got to get that back. But to me, and this is kind of been a talking point here. I've said this a million times, because left guard is a question mark. If Kenyon is able to answer that question, and look, it doesn't have to be Pro Bowl status. It doesn't have to be all pro. It doesn't have to be he's the number one guard in the NFL. He just has to play solid, not make mental mistakes, find his confidence, get in there and battle in the run game. Man, that basically answers all the offensive questions.
So talk to me about the official visit weekend that just happened, and some of the names that came by. You had 8 commits in town?
Yeah, 8 commits. It was what a weekend. It was action packed, top to bottom. Several top targets as well. They had Hassan Longstreet in town, quarterback, for his official visit. Was a huge help on the recruiting front. He was leading the way, doing a little recruiting of his own. Got near a Lincoln Cure tight end, 5-star All-American tight end out of Kansas. At down to a final few there with A&M, and Tiger Ryden, Kelvion Riggins, those guys, they're gonna get out there and recruit for you. Strong, solid commits, and they just all got after it. Connor Carty was another. They had a strong group. Jonte Newman was another O-lineman commit they had in town. So it was a really strong group. Like I said, 8. They had cornerbacks. Jamar Bill Goins, Kobe Sellers, and nickelback Dejon Petaway. But they were all doing work too. They weren't just here to take it in and get that nice steak from the Brazilian steakhouse and all that. They were there working, trying to build on this class, and they're excited to put something special together. And they had plenty of targets. Jamarian Morrow sat down with Tiger Ryden. They talked about what it would look like to play together. What that tandem might look like. And, you had Manny Choice, Kelshawn Johnson, and Kalik Lockett and Taz Williams, all receivers. They're talking with one another, trying to figure out where exactly they want to end up. But they're also in communication there with Longstreet. Longstreet was in every one of those guys here, along with Lincoln Cure.
To me, the month of September is going to be so critical in how this season plays out, because of the Notre Dame game, because of the Florida game, because of the Arkansas game at the end of the month. When you think of those 3, just the month of September itself, how that could play a part in what the entire season does feel like. If we're talking about a team that's on the outside of potentially being in the conversation for the playoffs, or teams still trying to struggle to be 7-5.
Yeah, I mean, it starts obviously with Notre Dame. That's one of the biggest swing games of the. I think Notre Dame and Florida. If you go through that season, I think those are 2 of my 4 swing games I'm looking at in terms of that really can take it dramatically one way or the other. Because we know Arkansas is a tough game. It is every year, no matter what. And I think you add in Bobby Petrino this year, and it gets tougher. But A&M is beating Arkansas with 11 out of 12. They should beat Arkansas. They should. Doesn't guarantee anything, but they should. Notre Dame at home and at Florida. If Texas A&M's 2-0 in those games, like I said, you might be hosting an unbeaten and number 7 or 8 ranked Missouri team at home. And again, I know Missouri is good, but if you're an unbeaten A&M team playing at home in October against a non-national title contender, I mean, not Alabama, not Georgia, not Ohio State, you're going to be probably favored in that game at home. And so, you come through September unscathed, and all of a sudden you're a bona fide playoff contender, because people will look at the rest of that schedule and they don't see Georgia, and they don't see Alabama, and they don't see Ole Miss, and they see Mizzou at home and Texas at home and LSU at home, and they're going, throw in an Auburn, and you're going, yeah, if A&M went 2-2 in those 4 games, are they in the playoff? So, yeah, that September is really significant because then you're looking at it again, like your 3 toughest games the rest of the way, and I would throw Auburn into that too. 3 of your 4 left are at Kyle Field, and you've got momentum, and you should only get better. So,
Kate, I'm not going to flip up the question on you. I'm just going to let you tell the people what to do.
People, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and follow TexAgs on all of our platforms.
There it is. We'll see you guys next time.